And we're live. Welcome to the Rican show. And once again, I have Annie and Janet on. I mean, Janet, sorry.
Okay.
And like I say, local politics matter. And I wanted to have them on again to give them a chance to um, talk about. They go to the school board meetings. They're very vocal, very actively participant in the meetings, and it's great because I've been to them and they're frustrating. They're very frustrating. They're going to let you know about some of the stuff that's going on. And it's great to have people active in the community like this because, like I said, local politics matters. If you don't pay attention, stuff like what they're going to talk about is what's going on. So um, I'll let you ladies take it away.
Well, we just found out on Monday that the state awarded a dual grant, $75,000 to up to $75,000 for local school districts to allow seniors to attend the community college. Every school district in the county got it except Pleasant Valley. I have sent a request in to uh, the curriculum person as well as the superintendent asking why we didn't receive the grant. Was there a problem with the grant? Were we declined? Um, it just doesn't make sense when back on in the March board meeting, we had Northampton Community College saying how great it is that they partner with us. And Dr. Conrad announced at that meeting that we would be helping students to do the dual enrollment. Now, how can he do that if we didn't get the grant? I mean, it's really upsetting. Again, we lost that. We lost the Singer scholarship, which was 20 grants. So one of our students did not get a $20,000 scholarship from Singer because they dropped the ball. I'm not saying the ball was dropped, but I'm saying we need answers to why it seems to always be happening now. And it's just really upsetting that we're losing out on things. And grants have been around for years. We've always had grants in this state. Who was doing them before? And now all of a sudden they want to pay a principal for PV Cyber and a grant, someone to go after grants for $111,000. It kind of, I'm not saying it, but it's too much of a coincidence that now we lost a grant. And just the prior board meeting, they approved 7-2 to bring a person on to do strictly grant writing and be the principal of the PV Bear Cyber School for $111,000. Yeah. So so backing up that with what is happening with the this new position that they just approved, it was the middle school principals moved over to the Bear Cyber Academy, and part of the job description will be to write grants. And Annie stumbled across yesterday, she got the notification that the grants were released, and 3 out of the 4 school districts got up to the $75,000 to promote the dual enrollment. So Annie emailed the person she suggested, and we contacted Jack Rader's office, and they're looking into it as well to support us, because we're asking the questions. How come we lost the dual enrollment grant? We're looking at not having the Singer scholarship, and I guess what comes next? I'm not sure. So, and this is just simple things. I mean, even something even simpler. Have you gone on the PV Bears website? Click on staff directory. Why is Charlene Brennan still our superintendent? I mean, it seems like it's not just the big things they're messing up on. It's the little things. Now, I'm not saying they didn't apply for the grant. If we didn't get the grant, give us the reason why we didn't get the grant. But when you look at 3 out of the 4, kind of makes you wonder. And I'm just asking the question because as a taxpayer, 2 board meetings ago, he says we're going to pay. Are you going to bring it back onto the community to pay for these children to go for dual enrollment, which I don't think is a bad idea, considering most kids only need 2 classes to graduate. And they're filling up their days with electives that they don't want.
By the time a student is a senior, depending on how many credits they had accrued up until their senior year, and we talked about it last time, that Molly will only need her English and her one other class, basically gym, to graduate. So it just seems a little crazy. By the time you're a senior, you're filling up your class with a lot of electives and a lot of maybe classes that you don't want to take. So we would encourage students to do the dual enrollment if they can get to the community college, because we're partnering with Northampton Community College. So that's just one of the issues that is coming up at the school district that kind of fell in our lap this week to look at. And but backing up, the first thing is we did attend this last board meeting, and we saw a lot of community members there. And you brought it up. There you go.
That's what I was looking for while you guys were talking. I was looking for it right there.
Yep.
She's been gone.
Yeah. Today I tried to contact the guidance counselors at the high school. Their last name is there, but their first name isn't there. So you can't do an email without the first name. So I had to call the Pleasant Valley High School to get the first name of the guidance counselor so that I could create the email. She was very nice. They were very nice about it, but it shouldn't be that difficult. The email should be there for the guidance offices.
And like I said, if they're messing up on the simple things, I mean, how hard is it to change the names? How long does it take to go in and fix that so you have an up-to-date directory? It makes you wonder what bigger things are that we don't know about that they're missing.
I mean, I have a website. I mean, I don't know how much they spend a year to to do that. I don't know. You said, I remember we just spoke offline, and you said something. It's a high number that they spend on the website.
The ESSER grant just gave them $300,000 to update the website and make it ADA compliant. This is right from their.
Well, if you look at the one ESSER grant, line 300, it's categorized as funding to maintain and update the website, and it was actually like $390,000. And as citizens who go to board meetings, it's not something that you're going to discuss, and even if you ask it, you're not going to get an answer. Mm-hmm. But it's a little frustrating right now that we're 2 years into this ESSER grant, and the website is still a little lacking. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but it's difficult when you're looking to communicate with somebody and you can't find those answers. So, yeah, it goes back to the ESSER funds.
I realized there was a question I forgot to ask you guys last time you won. So you guys are running as independents, basically? No, there's no no political machine helping you guys out?
We are Republicans, but we're not receiving much help.
We don't get backing or funding at all. That part is okay. So in Pennsylvania, there are certain elected offices you really have to cross file for if you want to be productive. School directors are one area that you have to cross file, and we cross filed on both parties to try and garner more of the vote. But independents, that's not a category that you can actually run in the primaries on. It's actually a bill they're trying to pass, but it's not currently something that you can run as an independent.
Okay. I was curious about that because, I'm seeing all these signs all over the place, and, we are
active within the Republican Party. We have been active, and we are precinct committeemen, both of us. Which we've done poll watchers, which are all different jobs. I did run for judge of elections one time. So we're still learning all those processes, and we do need more precinct committeemen in the whole the whole county of Monroe. So we would encourage people to attend the Republican meetings. Young Republicans would be nice. If we could get some of our younger citizens at our school districts interested, go look up on Facebook the Monroe County Republican Committee. I think that it would be a good start to get some of our younger people interested in the things that the Republican Party does stand for, which could lead us into one thing if I could talk about it very quickly.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so what has happened this week is House Bill 300 was approved in the House, and it's called the Fairness Act. And there is a call to action if people would like to do it, to email Senator Rosemary Brown. She is our senator in Monroe County, and ask her to consider not pushing it through the Senate. The Senate is going to try to hold on and we hope that they do stand strong and don't sign on to it, because I think there's misinterpretations on what this bill would end up doing. And
do you want me to play the video?
Sure.
Just so like that people could see someone fighting against it?
Yes.
Okay, hold up. I will put it to play right now.
Perfect.
It's not too long.
No.
Anti-discriminate. I rise in strong opposition to House Bill 300, a so-called anti-discrimination bill that is actually the most extreme discrimination bill that has ever come.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we can still see
To the
that.
Pennsylvania State House floor. Let me give you examples. Despite what the maker of the bill has said, your daughter plays sports. With this bill, by law, a biological man would be allowed to play against your daughter. You're a doctor. You would be required by law and forced to perform gender mutilation surgeries on children, which is child abuse. It is sick and evil. You can't change words to hide from what you are doing. You don't get to do evil and call it good. Women's shelters would be forced to house a biological male in an all-women shelter. Imagine being a woman that's being abused by her husband, and she goes to an all-woman shelter, and she must eat with, sleep with, shower with a biological man. Girls would be forced to have a biological man in the bathroom with them. Imagine being out to eat with your family and your 8-year-old daughter wants to use the restroom by herself. She comes out of her stall and there's a biological man in a dress waiting for her as she comes out of the stall in the women's restroom. Churches and religious schools could no longer consider doctrinal beliefs and religious convictions of human sexuality, marriage, and gender when hiring all of their employees. These are just a few of the harmful things this bill would do. We are all already equal under the law. This creates superior rights. What rights do you not have under the law right now? What this is about is force. It always was, and it always has been, under the disguise and deception of tolerance. This forces an agenda and a lifestyle on any and every person that disagrees with them. The Bible tells us right from wrong. It is the fixed moral law that this nation and this commonwealth was founded upon. Genesis 1:27 says, so God created man in his own image, and in the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Science confirms this. No man, no law, no legislation can change that. I adamantly oppose House Bill 300. This is an outright violation of simply what is right. I ask my colleagues to stand with me. Vote no. Vote to protect women. Vote to protect children. It is our duty. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
You know, it's when I see that and I hear the stuff that's going on with this, because, you know, this is something that's going across the country, not just here. And not only does it make me angry as a father to a daughter, you know, but I have a niece who also attends the school district. And I remember she was, you know, I mean, most kids are super liberal, you know, even if just because the product of the schooling. And she was also supportive of all this stuff until Leah Thomas came out. When that happened, it hit her close to home because she's a swimmer. So when she saw that was going on, then she understood why I fight this. And it's, I have trans friends, I have gay friends. My best friend of 30 years is a lesbian. So my kids are around this. So it's not like something where they could, because right away, when they can't win by argument or ideas, then they go to the, oh, you're a racist, oh, you're a homophobe, oh, you're a transphobe. And it's like, no, my kids are around it. I just don't want them this being pushed on them in the schools.
I mean, then you're looking at, what was it, the school in Virginia, North Carolina, an 18-year-old boy, man, but he's 18, so he's still in high school,
Mm-hmm.
identified as a woman, went and showered a bunch of 13-year-old girls.
I
Because
didn't.
yeah, it was in the news. First of all, the 13-year-old girls were mortified that this 18, and then you're looking at, okay, he's 18, exposing himself to a 13-year-old. What happened to our child protective rights? You know,
Well,
a
that's
18-year-old can't date a 13-year-old because it's against the law. But yet you're going to allow, because in high school, you go from the age of 13 and some are 18 by the time they graduate.
mm-hmm.
So you're going to allow an 18-year-old, I don't care if he wants to come as a dress however you want. I really, I don't care. But use that shower, that bathroom. Do you think the trauma he caused these girls? Because all of a sudden now it's like, and they're around it all the time because they're growing up with this, and they were still mortified.
Well, it's like I said, like I used the antidote. Oh, I'm using the wrong word. Anyway, the story I told about my niece is something where a lot of these kids who, are okay, in theory, they're okay with this going on. But then when it hits them in the face and it affects them personally, then it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's not cool. And there's a guy, I forget what state, but there's a state, like a state senator, not he. I mean, obviously, it's a joke, but he says he identifies he identifies as an Indian lesbian woman,
I'll find that. My husband just sent that to me the other night,
and I think that's brilliant to use against them because all they say is you have to feel like that, but how could you question someone's feelings? That's the beauty of it. It's like when you're arguing feelings, how can you argue against someone's feelings?
But they're also saying, if right now the way everything's been written, sorry, I'm not speaking right, even unconsciously you're being a racist. How, if you don't even know, I mean, unconsciously?
Oh yeah, no, that to me,
You're blaming me for something I didn't even think of.
Well, that's why I went to the school board meetings. I was fighting against CRT because, being a minority, I don't want my daughter to go to school and for them to teach her that, she's less than because she's Puerto Rican. And they'll say, no, we're doing it to empower. No, you're not. Because if you're teaching my daughter that she's a victim, that means then she's less than a regular person. And, not everybody in this world is a victim. Not everybody, like, according to the other lady running, Donna, however you say her last name, not everybody is a white supremacist KKK person. The irony behind that, she runs as a Democrat when, the Democrats are the party that formed the KKK in the first place.
Well, most people don't know history, Carlos. I mean, look how, and actually, I think we're going back deeper into history. The things, I can't believe the conversations we literally are seeing. This week, Pennsylvania just ruled about the Satan Club, that the school district has to allow it because, of course, it's a First Amendment issue with freedom of speech. So the school district has to allow, and who knows, maybe it'll go to the next level of court. I haven't been able to get deeply into that one, but the fact that we're having these conversations and the fact that people have used our Constitution to challenge everything that was good about our Constitution because they have this false ideology of our history and what it meant to come here to find freedom and to find a better life. You know, we all want a better life for our kids. And I think that is the most important part of why we are doing this, whether it's our kids or whether it's your kids or any kids. We want a better life for them. And I did hear an interview today. An 82-year-old man was speaking about his life, and he detransitioned. And what he talked about really hit me, talking about, it was in the 1941. What was happening in the 1940s? The world wars, the stress the families were going through. And I feel like our family, we are under a lot of stress. Financially, we're under a lot of stress. We're having these crazy topics to talk about because I feel like our government, just like education, when we talked about it last time, things are happening at such a rapid pace. And it's all this stress. Look at mental health. Next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're like acknowledging that and coming towards that this month with all the things that we do in the school districts with preparing for that month. Suicide prevention, talking about all of these mental health issues. It's just that constant reminder that there's stress. And we want to make sure that we support the people that need that help. That's part of the reason for running, is understanding what is going on in our county, what is going on in our community, and making sure that we do provide the resources for the people that need them. Not everybody does need them.
And I think right now, like a lot of it, and I said this to Janet, when I was in school, I dressed like Jennifer Beals, flash dancing. Does that mean I wanted to be Jennifer Beals? No, I just emulated what. And the kids today are seeing all their favorite rock stars. They're seeing all their favorite athletes. And they think, oh, wow, look, he's making millions. If I'm like him, maybe, and they're going into things with a child's mind, so to speak, because they don't have the reasoning behind. And I'm afraid they're going to ruin their lives.
Oh, it's different.
I'm for the pause button. Let's pause this. Let's just wait.
Well, this is what I was going to say. If, you were dressing like, flash dancer, but that didn't mean you wanted to go and be a, flash dancer,
Right.
And even if you did, it wouldn't have permanently affected your life. We're talking about a trend, and that's what it is to me. It's a trend that is not only is it dangerous, that it's hurting these children, because they tell them, oh, it's reversible. Nonsense. It's not reversible. Once you put those puberty blockers in those kids, that's it. They're infertile. Now you made a person who's going to be with some sort of medical problems for the rest of their life. And that's the biggest problem. It's dangerous, and it's just plain crazy that we're treating a mental illness, and that's what it was until politics took a hold of it. It's I remember, I think Dr. Phil just like this week or last week had someone who blinded herself because she said she felt she was born as a blind person. And it's like, no, she was mentally ill. No one should, she should have been seeking treatment. Instead now she blinded herself for the rest of her life. And that's what's, it's the same thing. It's like, if someone has anorexia and they think they're fat, you don't humor, when they're skin and bones, you don't humor that mental delusion.
Right.
You tell.
There's one better, Carlos.
Mhm.
In order to get laparoscopic surgery on your stomach,
Yeah.
you have to go to a psychiatrist for 6 months and
Yeah.
say why you want to do this. Because I had two friends, due to health reasons, that they were going on to be a severe diabetic, and there was nothing. They tried everything.
Yeah.
They had to go through a psychiatric evaluation before they could even get that on their stomach to help them lose weight.
Yeah.
But yet we're just rushing, you know, society's just rushing into these kids saying, oh, you think you're okay, let's get this done.
Yeah. Well, you have these states that passing these laws that are allowing kids to transition without their parents' consent or knowledge. But meanwhile, those same states, those kids can't get tattoos without their parents' permission. You
The
know, it's like
irony in all of it.
make
The
it
irony
make
in
it make
all of it.
sense. Make it make sense. And you know,
And
that's
like
why I
we
said
said, we
what
don't
happened.
care. We don't, and like we said, we don't care if the child feels like that. Hey, that's fine.
Hmm.
But put a pause on everything. You know,
But I say
we
put a pause on all the medical treatments. You know, if they want to seek I go like this. First of all, on the study that these people use, what just came out a couple of weeks ago too was one of the people that they were doing a long-term study on,
mhm.
that they put them on puberty blockers, I think when they were like 11 or 12, because they put them, it was a male to female. So since they were put on puberty blockers, they didn't have enough genitalia material for the vaginoplasty. So they had to use a section of the colon
Mhm.
to make the vaginoplasty, and the person ended up the guy ended up getting an infection and dying.
Yeah, I saw that
I
this week.
saw that. Yeah.
And this is the stuff that they don't talk about. They don't talk about the hidden dangers, the hidden cost of what's going on. Because look, you know, this is what I say: when you're an adult, you're an adult. You want to make that choice. I can't stop you. You're an adult. You make your own decisions. But you know, we don't need to be pushing this on kids. They could do it at 18, and according to that study, you know, you see that it's better that they don't go into puberty blockers and wait till when they're an adult. And it's like like I said, once you're an adult, I don't care. You know, it's like, not to be callous about it, but it's your life. It's a mistake that you have to make. And as parents, we need to protect our kids, even if it means protecting them from themselves.
Yeah. Right now, because yeah, it's almost like all of this is going on as a distraction for what might really be going on. Like,
Oh yeah, it is.
you know, it's
Definitely.
all distractions for the real things that are going on. I looked on pa.gov. I was looking at the bills.
Mhm.
There's thousands of bills, and I called the representative and I said, what's the best way to keep track of stuff? You can't. There's just so many on there. There are
Yeah.
ways you can do an RSS feed on your phone to keep track of certain bills. If you say education bills, you want to follow them.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of bills out there, and I just feel like this particular bill is actually a distraction already for other
Yeah.
things that must be going on. And not to turn away from this topic, but we talked. There's some big things coming up.
Okay.
And one of the big things that is coming up, and the reason we actually changed to do it tonight, was on Monday night. There's a community high school project building tour, and it starts at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. The tour begins 6:15, and then at 7 p.m. they're going to pull the district planning meeting into the high school. So that's Monday, May 8th. The capital improvement project is on the PV Bears website. You can go look at the capital project ahead of time if you're interested in looking at it ahead of time to see what the plans are for the way they're proposing to change the structure of the building. That they're not knocking the high school down, but there's a lot of internal structural things that will change, like hallways, and some of it's to improve safety. Annie's good with the borrowing part. The financial part is not my part, but I'm hoping that, and I said it last time, that people show an interest to come to the tour, if you can't get to the tour, maybe the building, maybe to come to the planning meeting, because as this rolls out, borrowing is going to happen, but it's also going to affect the students who are in the high school as they have to move classes around. So I think I said last time, by the time you get up to sixth grade, you'll be in the high school. Sixth graders now will be in the high school when the brunt of the work is going on. And it would be nice that if parents do get involved, because I think that's part of what our goal is to make sure parents in the community know the change that's going on in the school district.
But the big thing is, what people need to know, we're running for school board. When they come and hear the numbers being thrown out, this will be a done deal before we even take our seats. Okay? All this will be done before we even take our seats. So as new school directors, it would be our job to make sure that the investments are being made, that we can put it on the back end of this. Janet and I are running for school board because we care about the children. We want to go back to education. That is our job. That is the job. That is what the school is supposed to do. We want to make sure, all of this stuff about gender, it doesn't matter. What really needs to happen, what parents need to see, is that the education, the kids aren't getting it. We just had PSSAs. For 2 or 3 weeks, the teachers were teaching to the PSSAs so they can pass the PSSAs. Okay? We shouldn't have to be teaching to pass the PSSAs. PSSAs are supposed to know what you've learned. Obviously, they're not teaching what they need to know. Teachers can only do so much, okay?
Yeah.
Parents need to, the elementary principal, parents are the backbone to these students, teaching them how to study, that's what we need to focus on, not this other nonsense. We need to make sure each and every child can work to the best of their ability. If they're high IQ and honors, we need to have those programs or that available to them, as well as have the help the kids who are struggling need. And like I've said, and I posted it in the Pocono Happenings, okay, we put it out for paras to come. No one's applying. So now let's open up for volunteers. We have moms that can volunteer. We have seniors in this community that are still smart, that are looking for something to do.
Yeah.
Why not get them their clearances, sit them in the hallway, and help the kids? And the ones who do need help and have the para really look to find the para, because it's not fair for that child who can't get it and the teacher to slow down for the kids who are getting it. It's not. We want to get those kids that help so they can get it with the other kids. But the same token, if a teacher has from this to this, and she has to teach to the slowest person, that's hurting the average kid. It's hurting. And I'm not saying that all kids don't need help at some time. Every kid needs help at some time. Let's get the kids let's do a buddy program. We have Zoom, we have Facebook, FaceTiming. Mm-hmm. Seniors have to do community service. Get them a little buddy. Do it via the phone. There's no touch. There's no, parents approve. Okay, this senior is going to help my child learn math. There are ways we have to think outside the box. That's not going to cost us money. And I'm not saying that I'm trying to take a job away from a teacher or someone to make a learning as a para. But if we can't find them, now let's think outside the box until we can find someone that we can pay.
I agree. It's like, when you're paying, ridiculous salaries to, to the bureaucracy, when that could have been, money spent on the kids. I mean, who thought it was a great idea? It's like, we're a small school district. Why are we paying someone, $150,000 a year, right? Something like that. And it escalates every year with the contract.
Well, the average teacher, and according to Dr. Conrad, in his own words, an average teacher, I mean, the highest and the lowest, is taking the two together, is $83,000 a year. And when the median income of this area is only $50,000 a year.
And it's probably,
And-
that 53 is probably inflated by the teachers.
But I understand we need the teachers.
No,
And-
of course.
And we're losing, and the problem is we're losing them to like East Stroudsburg, who has a bigger tax base. We're losing them to Easton, who has a bigger tax base than we do. And then that goes back to the Fair Funding Act, which is in the House right now. We can't compete because we are such a small, rural, we're still basically rural out here district. And we lose the teachers to Easton, who could pay more. Well, they have more businesses. They have the malls. They have all this stuff coming in. We don't have that here.
Mm-hmm.
So we are getting hurt by not being able to afford the teachers, but we can't afford to pay them either. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of equal out of the pay. And I don't know the answer to it. None of us know the answer to it.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it's
the
some-
taxes
but
are
that's
going
why
to keep.
we have to do it. We have to pay what we have to pay so we can keep the teachers. We don't lose them to Easton. We don't lose them to Allentown. We don't lose them to East Stroudsburg or Pocono Mountain.
Yeah. No, I agree, and but that's why I say if you're not paying the bureaucracy, if you don't have so much bureaucracy taking up so much money, you could afford to pay the teachers. If you, like I said, if you're not paying the super, I know they were saying, oh well, we want good candidates, and it's like, okay, but why are we paying someone that we can't afford to end up strapping us even more? With a tight budget, paying someone so much.
Well,
And
The way the government is, to me, it's the way the government is growing with layers of administration.
oh yeah,
And it takes away from that front-hand experience that the child needs the most, especially at the lower levels. And, if you look on PVE's Facebook page, it's adorable. They really look like they are doing a good job in the school district.
Yes.
It's a very happy place. Whether they have enough paras right now, I can't answer that today. I'm not on the school board.
Mhm.
But I do think that our foundation starts PVE, PVI, and can only grow better from there. And I think that if I was on the school board, that would be the place that I'd want to go back and look again to see what was going on. Right now, we don't have the liberty to walk into the school district. We don't have a function at those school buildings. But they're the areas that I think our foundations need to start and need to grow from. By the time the students are getting into middle school and high school, things change. And we do have a lot of good programs. Once again, we do a lot of things well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we have to work on the things that we aren't doing well, whether it's a communication issue or whether it is a safety issue, which they are the hot topics. And that's why I think this bill is like a distraction right now to the important things that are going on in schools. So I think they're the things that I would say as a school director, I'd want to make sure that we are addressing the educational needs at the youngest levels.
And honestly, I think going back to talking to the teachers, but you have to give them the security to talk. They talk outside the district to us, but right now we're not on the board either. My big thing is start with grade 1. Start with kindergarten. Say, okay, what's working in your little section? What do you need help with? Give me your top 3 things. Then go to first grade and second grade. I bet you the top 3 things are the same top 3 things each grade wants. And if we can do 2 or 1 or 2, just do something to help those teachers to get back to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And you need, like Jazz said, to have a strong foundation at that level. Okay, if they're too concerned about which bathroom the kid wants to use, or No, let's just get back to teaching them, okay? Leave the other stuff by the wayside. If they want to come dressed as a girl, let them. But let's get back to the education, because that's where we need to be. And who knows better than the teachers what they need? And they know, because they know the kids there with them. And then start there, and then move up to PVI. What curriculum is working at PVI? What's not working at PVI? What do you want? And see what we can do. Little changes can make a big difference. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
No.
If we could just implement little changes. And that's what Janet and I want to do as school board members. Give the teachers to talk. Okay, we're going to sit down with you. If you want to have the union rep there, that's fine. But no administrators, no nothing. Talk to us like you would a parent, what you need.
You're reading a question, Carlos.
What happened?
You have a question.
As a comment, she put, exactly, and this nonsense cost me my jobs. I've been out of work for 3 years and now facing financial difficulties and bad anxiety. I'm sorry to hear that, Marie. Yeah, when you're not working and you're facing, I mean, you have people who have jobs that are struggling as it is, and to not be without, to be without a job in this time is there, what field? I wonder what field are you in? Maybe there's something. Are you in education, or are you in a different field? Trying to see if they answer.
That's okay. That's okay.
Now, to be a para in the school, you only need 2 years of college, 60 credits. And you get.
But so two other things that we talked about quickly before we got online. I did take advantage of asking Dr. Conrad 2 questions. My papers fell on the floor, so I lost my notes. But I did ask about the Zoom calls. And my basic question was, is there anything that is free, or if there's any other type of social media that we can use to continue with the Zoom calls? Because it was brought up that maybe we would have the Zoom calls. And basically the answer I got back, and you can go back and look at the April 27th board meeting that we just had. I just played it 4/27/2023 on YouTube. You can actually follow the video. And basically my response back from Dr. Conrad was, we're excited to have the community participate. We want to welcome the community to come to the board meetings, but if not, you can replay them. And that isn't what the question was. And so I didn't get the answer to the question about whether we would be resuming Zoom, or whether we could resume some other type of meeting, some other type of social media application that people could watch the board meetings live. So that was one question I did ask him, and I didn't basically get an answer to. So that's just one bit of frustration this week that I got. The other question that I emailed, or I put in the Google form, which you can ask Dr. Conrad questions. If you go to the PV Bears main webpage on a Tuesday, it ends on a Tuesday before a Thursday board meeting. You can ask Dr. Conrad a question, and I submitted a Google Docs question. That's how you submit them. And I had stated how on Sunday night we had received phone calls and emails that there was a heightened security presence at the schools, and there was a threat, a vague threat made. So Monday came, and people did say that they saw more police present at all the schools. And my question to Dr. Conrad was, we got the call that there was a heightened alert. Why didn't we get a call or something placed on the website that says the kids are fine, they're in their classrooms, they're safe, the risk is reduced? That was my question. Basically, my answer was, and you can listen to the answer again if you go back and listen at the school board meeting on 4/27, that we assess threats, we bring the police in as needed, but we welcome community involvement and participation. We want the parents involved. it didn't make sense the way he answered it, because I think I said, this is my involvement. I'm saying I have a child at the school. Can you let us know if you can tell us the thread is over? That's all I'm asking for. And just answer. If you can't tell us the thread's over, then say that. Just answer the question. The question wasn't answered. And I think that's just the frustrating part. If you ask a question directly, that's basically a yes or no. No, I can't answer your question. Even say that to me. I can't answer your question for security reasons. But I just felt like safety is still going to be an issue. Questions are still going to be brought up about safety. And if we email a question, we have the question, I can bring the question back up. Why answer it in such a vague way that it leads me to say, I'm not going to ask any more questions? And I think, that's kind of what it leads to. We just stop asking questions. So that was my 2 cents about 2 questions that I submitted this last week that I felt like I didn't get answers to.
Well, I want what I want you guys to do, each of you, 1 minute for each.
Okay.
Okay. Give your, if you can, in 1 minute, because I want to try to see if I could make it into a clip for you guys, so you guys can share it all over. Mm-hmm. If in a minute you could describe, why you're running and what you hope to accomplish. So like that, like I said, we could, so like that, people aren't going to watch the whole hour of the show. So if I could cut it for you for a minute, so like that could be kind of like your campaign ad.
Thank you. Okay.
So whoever wants to go first.
You go first. She's going to push me first. I'll talk. So why I'm running, and I think we said it last time, we got involved during COVID. We were frustrated with things that were happening, and we continue to stay involved because we're passionate. We want to be that warrior in front of people. I'm not going to be afraid to speak. If I don't understand something, I don't understand something. I will say it. But I'm also not going to be afraid to speak. And I'm learning that on the local community government level, everyone needs to not be afraid to ask a superintendent a question, to ask a school board director a question, to ask the school board president a question. And mostly important, don't be afraid to ask your teachers questions. Learn to ask your House of Representative a question. Learn to ask your senator a question. That is my part in this right now. I am learning. I wish that 25 years ago I had been more active. I don't want people to be afraid to ask questions. Remember when we were little, we were told there's no such thing as a dumb question? Let's go. I think that's the first place I would say let's start. There's no dumb place to ask a question. We all have time to ask questions. We can learn so much by talking to each other. And that's why I'm running.
Very good. And your turn.
I'm running for school board. I too got involved during the COVID for personal reasons, my daughter, vaccines, the whole 9 yards. But I realized something while I was there at the school board meetings. Nobody can talk to anybody. The community can't talk to the school board members. The teachers can't talk to the school directors. Nobody can talk to anybody. And my big thing is communication. A lot of this stuff can be hashed out if we all talk to each other and not be afraid to talk to each other. And I think if we can start talking to each other, we can start fixing this education because the teachers have the right idea on how to do it. No one is listening. And as a school board member, that should be our number one priority, listening to people. We may not like what they say, but listen and talk about it and come to a middle that everyone could be happy with. And I think as a school board member, that's my number one, being in the community, talking to the teachers, talking to parents. I'm a big proponent of everyone going to something. Not that everyone can go to everything, but go out and be accessible to these people. And I would be accessible to anyone who wanted to come to me and talk to me. I may not be able to help everybody, but I can listen, and if I can, I will. I'm only one person, I'll be one of 9, but I will make sure the voices get heard.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. Thank you, ladies, for coming on again.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
us.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
fun.
This is fun. And
It is.
if it doesn't get on and you still want us to come on, we can talk about different issues because we'll still be going to school board meetings.
No, definitely. It'll be nice to if you're allowed to, if you guys are fortunate to make it, to have you guys on as school board members.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
why
I mean,
not?
we're public. I mean, even though we're public, people talk. I mean, you see live video feeds of our senators and our representatives working.
Well,
Why
yes,
not do that?
there's some politicians that they do that. Like, um, there's some that do podcasts. There's some that do live shows.
Yes.
And I think, especially the live shows, I think is great because you get to interact. I mean, you'll get some trolls when you're a more famous politician, but I think that's a great way to interact with the community, to get your message across, to be able to help your constituents.
I would really like to see Carlos. We started with, besides going to school boards, we did start going to a class called Constitution Alive.
No.
Mostly because we don't understand our government. We just don't. It's very, it's written in old language that we're not used to reading, and we need to be reinvigorated for what we stand for. So we do continue to even attend that now, Constitution Alive. And if anybody has questions about how to attend those meetings, or if they want to start taking part of it, you can actually email me at doonajan@gmail.com. That's my email, which I'm very bad at remembering that stuff. So if I gave wrong information, I'm sorry.
Mine's even simpler. It's Gravell@gmail. And my last
So
name
email
at Gmail.
Annie.
So email me.
But yeah, we'd like to see our young. We do have a lot of areas that young people can get involved. Whether it's coaching youth, whether it is volunteering at a firehouse, which we have, nice firehouses in our community. We want to see young people feeling welcome to get involved.
And paramedics, everyone. There's so much out there that kids can get involved.
That's what
with,
makes
so.
the community in the long run.
Mhm.
Feeling safe going to work, feeling good about the thing that you might volunteer for, whether it's coaching or whether it is at the firehouse. Lots of good ways to get involved with people. Yeah. Bring people back.
Bring community back.
Bring community back, yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Carlos.
Thank you so
I'll
much,
see you
Carlos.
soon, I
We'll
hope.
see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening, ladies, and
Have a great day.
everyone. I hope you guys have a good week. And that
Thank
being
you.
said, I'm out.
Bye.